I was injured by a rideshare driver and I'm wondering who's responsible. Well, in Florida, the answer is that the driver is the one that is responsible. If we were to ever file a lawsuit arising out of the accident, it would not be against Uber or Lyft, it would be against the driver who was driving for Uber or Lyft. So let's talk about that. In Florida, the driver driving for a rideshare company is considered an independent contractor. And as such, Florida law says that you can't sue Uber or Lyft as a result of the accident. So that sounds bad, but it really isn't, because what Uber and Lyft does, and the reason that they get this protection, is that in Florida, the laws have been set up to say, you're going to get this protection of allowing the driver to be considered an independent contractor so you're not sued, only if you require the driver to have $1 million in coverage while they're driving for the rideshare company. Even though you might only be able to sue the driver or bring a claim against the driver, if the driver caused an accident and you're injured as a result of that accident, they're going to have sufficient insurance to pay for all of your injuries. So let's talk about the three typical categories of the insurance involved. If you have someone who is driving for rideshare but they're not on their app, there's really no coverage from the rideshare company. There's no coverage from Uber or Lyft involved in that situation. The second category is when the rideshare driver has the app on but has not yet picked up the ride. The insurance from Uber or Lyft kicks in, but it's at a little bit lower level than the next level, which is the level where the person driving is on the app and has actually picked up the ride and has a ride in their vehicle. That's where the most coverage comes. Who is covered? If a rideshare driver causes an accident and you're in the other vehicle that the rideshare driver hit, there's going to be insurance for you to cover your injury. The other situation involves where you've already called Uber or Lyft and you're in the vehicle yourself as a passenger. That Uber or Lyft driver causes an accident and you're injured in that accident. You've got insurance through their policy, and when I say their Uber or Lyft policy, to cover your injury. Those are the typical situations that arise. You're going to have coverage through the person's personal policy. If they are an Uber or Lyft driver, but they are not on their app, their personal policy applies. If they're on their app on the way to pick up a ride, the Uber or Lyft policy applies at a certain level. But if they have already picked up a ride and are actually driving that person to or from someplace, that's where the maximum coverage comes in. Those are the three different types of insurance levels that are out there in Uber or Lyft or rideshare cases. Then the other situation is whether you're in the other vehicle that the Uber hit, whether you're a passenger in the Uber vehicle and the Uber driver had caused the accident himself. Those are the typical situations. But then you also have the situations where you're a pedestrian and get hit by an Uber or Lyft driver, or you're on a bicycle and get hit by an Uber or Lyft driver, or you might want to just say more commonly a rideshare driver. Or it could be a motorcyclist getting hit by a rideshare driver. All these common things that happen, but there's really important distinctions whether the person driving was on their app, had already accepted a ride, but had not yet picked up the ride, had accepted the ride, had already picked up the ride, so you can understand the difficulty and complexity of the situation involving a lot of Uber and Lyft cases. Some of the complexity involves whether the driver is truthfully saying whether they were on the app or not. A lot of the complexity of cases like this involve us collecting evidence from the driver, sending appropriate letters at the beginning of the case to make sure that none of the electronic data that is in the car or on the app gets deleted, so that we can have access as to exactly when the accident happened and what part of the app they were on at the time. There's usually a lot of insurance coverage available to pay for our clients' injuries when it is an Uber or rideshare accident, so that's beneficial to our clients to make sure that they get fully compensated for their injuries. But there's a lot of complexities involved in getting to that point to make the appropriate party pay for your injuries. If you have any questions, about being involved in a rideshare accident, whether it's an Uber or Lyft or anything else, please give us a call. We're happy to give you a free consultation regarding your specific case. I'm Mike Hancock with Hancock Injury Attorneys. We are here in the Tampa area. We represent people all across the Tampa Bay region and throughout the state of Florida in Uber and rideshare cases.